people, trying to track people down. Yeah, so don't worry about it. It just so happens that's what it falls in training. So we have to make the phone calls on Friday. If you got a hold of a lot of people, that's awesome. And you probably worked harder last night than other nights that you would have to throughout the week. So that's good. All right. Now, another really good one would be Saturday from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Close the golden hour. This is a money phone time. Why is Saturday morning so good? If somebody gets up at 7 o'clock every weekday, what time are they getting up on the weekend? Same time. You know, people who get up at the same time every day, their bodies are used to that. So without an alarm clock, their body just gets them up. Especially people who have kids. What's on Saturday morning? Cartoons. So you get a hold of a lot of people Saturday morning, 8:30 to 10. What time is it right now?
9 o'clock.
This would be about, close to 9 o'clock on Saturday, right, if we were doing this. I'm like, right now is actually a fantastic phone time. In a little bit, I'm actually going to give you guys an opportunity to get a hold of some people that you couldn't get a hold of last night. That'd be pretty cool? You're like, yeah, that's cool. So we'll do that here in a little bit. Now, let me show you what your first weekend is going to look like, or your first week. If this is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, now, let's say, Jake, let me use you here for an example. Jake, you've got 3 demos today, right? And you've got 5 tomorrow? And you got 2 on Monday? Okay, great. Now, here's what's going to happen. I haven't taught you guys recommendations yet, but guess what happens when you get recommendations? What do those turn into for you?
Yeses.
Yeah, presentations, right? And I'm going to teach you how to get yeses here and turn those into presentations. But on average, does anybody remember how many yeses we get on each presentation? 2. So out of this right here, do 3 presentations. How many yeses should you get? 6. So I'm going to teach you how to set those up, and you actually can set those up on the spot. So here's what will happen. Maybe you get 1 extra here, 1 extra here, and then 4 more, throughout the week. And then guess what happens when you do these 6? You get 12 more, right? And what will happen? 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, maybe another 1 here. And then you do these, so forth and so on. Right? So what do you see happening? Your week, it just kind of rolls together. It's kind of like a snowball effect. The more that you start with, you guys ever pushed a car before? From like being stalled? You put it in neutral, what's the most difficult thing to do? Get it rolling, right? And then once it's rolling, your whole body is like diagonal trying to get this thing going. Once it starts rolling, what do you have to do? You just keep your hand on it with a little bit of pressure, right? That's like this job. What you guys are doing this first weekend is like the initial shoving of the car, and then once it gets rolling, you're just maintaining. And you do that through different phone times. So different phone times would be, for instance, when I was a sales rep, I phoned a lot to begin, and then this is what I did for the rest of my fast start. The rest of my fast start, I'd wake up typically, I'd say probably every other morning, and I would phone for about 20 to 30 minutes in the morning between 8 and 9. And then what do you think I did around noon? Made a few more phone calls, maybe about 10. And then I'd phone for about a half hour every evening. So what was my objective every time I phoned? Just to set up 1, 2, 3 more appointments maybe. And if you're consistently doing that, what's going to happen to your schedule? It'll stay full. So that's kind of like keeping your hand on the car as it's moving. And just little bits here, little bits there. Alright? Now there's something that's called the 3-day rule. You typically don't want to set up too many demos more than 3 days in advance. Why is that? Anybody know? Yeah, they might. Something might come up, they might forget. So typically it's 3 days. Now, if you already booked up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it was okay last night for you to set up for Tuesday if you already had the first 3 days booked up. That's all right. Another tip for you guys when phoning. You want to phone when there's no distractions. What kind of distractions do you have when you phone at home?
TV.
TV? What's that? Refrigerator, food,
My mom.
parents, siblings, friends, internet, all that, right? So, these things can distract you. I used to do this. I was a horrible phoner when I was a new rep. I would sit at home, there's a TV show on, I'm like, I'll phone after this. What happens after that show's over? There's another good one on, or I'm like, well, I'll phone after I'm done eating. And before I know, it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I miss the good phone time. You can't let that happen. My mom also, for some reason, she would always find me whenever I was phoning and ask me to do something. Hey, I need you to do this. I'm like, I'm working. And she'd be like, can't you do that later? And the answer is yes. Can't I phone later? Yeah, but she didn't understand how important it was that I phoned at certain times. That would be equivalent to like my mom coming into McDonald's where I used to work and saying, hey Dane, in the middle of my shift, hey Dane, I need you to go pick up your brother from soccer. Would she ever do that?
No.
No, because she understands that that'd be ridiculous, you know, not responsible, and she'd never ask me to do that. But when people ask you to miss phone time or not phone, they just don't understand that that's equivalent to like asking you to miss your most important shift of the week. My friends would also try and get me to not phone. Why? They'd be like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Let's say it's Sunday night. What are you doing tonight? We're going to be doing this. You should come. I'm like, oh, I have to phone. Okay, they don't understand that. So what do? You have to do what? Come on, you can do that later. Come wait. And so they would try and get me to not phone. Guess what? All you have to do to get that to not happen is this. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I got to work from 6 to 9? If it goes well, I might get out a little early. What do you think your friend says to that? Oh, cool. Okay, call me when you get out. I never got hassled again. What was my working? I had to phone from home or from the office, and then if I got everything set up by 7 or 7:30, I'd take off. I was done working. So you can't miss your shifts, and your shifts are the most important thing is phoning. All right? If you guys want, you can always phone here at the office. The office is always open to you. Some people like to phone here from the office because it's less distractions for them. All right? Now, you can sound one of 3 ways in the phone. Pushy, passive, or assertive. Pushy means, you know, you walked all over them. You're like, I've got to do it at this time. And you forced them to do certain times. Passive was, oh, hey, when's good for you? Next week? Okay. That's passive. Assertive is sharing a goal, saying, hey, I need to do it by this time, and offering a couple times. Assertive is what's in the phone approach. You've got to be assertive when you guys are phoning. And all you have to do is just follow the manual, and you'll be completely fine with that. All right? So I want you to change something in your manual. Open your manual on page 24. And you guys know we create urgency in the phone approach. Anyone know the line that creates urgency? In other words, that gets them to set up this right now this weekend? Yeah, it's the line that says, I need to do blank by Monday. So that's really good because you have people that will set up with you by Monday because they know you have a deadline. Well, when you're phoning this week, you can't say that anymore, right? So we got to come up with something else. So I'm going to give you a standard line that you can always say, and I want you to write this in there. The line is, I need to do 3 more appointments in the next 2 days to hit my goal, or to stay on pace towards my goal. So write that on the side of your manual, and that's what I want you guys to start using. So I need to do 3 more appointments the next 2 days to stay on pace towards my goal. Last couple pointers with phoning, guys, make sure you get directions. So important. Don't use MapQuest. A couple other really important ones. Read the approach. And the most important one, do not call them ahead of time. Most important tip, guys, don't call them ahead of time. Some of you in here will feel like you're being polite and just checking to make sure with your customer. That is the biggest mistake that you can do. I've seen reps do that after they heard me say don't. They still did it, and they had 10 demos lined up. They ended up doing 3 or 4. Would that be exciting to you? No, so don't call. Do not call them. Why? Because here's what happens. You're basically inviting them to reschedule the demo. If you had a doctor's appointment or a haircut, and you had an appointment lined up at 4, would you ever call them ahead of time and be like, hey, or would they ever call you ahead of time and be like, hey, it's 3:30 right now, the appointment's at 4, you're still coming, right? You'd be like, yeah, we set up an appointment, so I'm coming. That's why we set up appointments. If you guys set up like vague times, I'll be over there tomorrow afternoon, then you'd have to call and check. But we covered that yesterday. You didn't do that. You set up specific times, so we don't want to call ahead of time. No calling ahead of time. All right, now I'm going to give you guys a chance to make some extra calls this morning before we actually get started into training. So here's how we're going to do this. Hopefully you brought some numbers. I told you guys to do that yesterday. And how we're going to do this, we're going to do this little phone jam. So this is what we do in our office, like before team meetings and stuff. So guys, I'll always do this. I'll pick whoever has the most full schedule first. So I'll say, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to use Jake first. Now, open up your schedules, guys. Hey, now it's Saturday, right? Yesterday was Friday, so you guys set up for what? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today's Saturday, so you can set up for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, when you're phoning today, what if you don't have one of your slots filled today? Could you set them up for today's demo? Yeah, that'd be awesome.